Hi, my name is Mallory with West Board & Brush, and tonight we are going to make the Hello Summer sign. So get out your kit and we'll get started. Okay, so we're gonna get started. If you have your kit in front of you, this is what we will find. You will have your transfer tape, which you can set off to the side. Your design will be in there. If yours looks like this, you're good to go. If yours looks like this, you'll need to pull out the center of the O and the E by either taking your nail or like a toothpick to scratch out the center. I like to just bend it with my nail and pull it off. And then you'll be ready to go with that one. And then you'll find you'll have 8 paintbrushes. And your wood circle that we'll be using, and all your paints. So what I like to do is start by lining up all my paints in order so that we have them all set up. So we're gonna start with the polyacrylic, so we'll set that first, and then our red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, and then our tan for the bottom. I'm gonna slide these over to the side so you guys can see. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is take our transfer tape and our popsicle sign. We're going to take your nail and just separate this. It's a clear piece away from the blue piece. What I like to do is hold it with both hands, fold it in the middle, and kind of line it up. Once it's on there, it will grab on there, so be careful with that. And then you'll just want to lay it as centered as you can. It's okay if it's off a little bit. And then you'll want to take anything, a credit card, a butter knife even, anything with a harder edge on it, and you'll just want to scrape it across. You'll want to do front and back. The more that you scrape it, the better it will be. Okay, once you feel like you have it stuck well enough, then what you can do is you will take the white backing and remove it from the orange. So you want it to still stick to your grid like this. So once we have it like that, then what we'll do is we'll take our wood circle, and my trick is I try and line up my ends of my popsicle as far down as I can. And then I just work my way up a little bit from there so I have enough room for my hello. So that looks about good. So then once you feel like you have it straight enough, then you can stick it on there. The nice thing about a circle is that you can move it to straighten it out. So then you're gonna scrape it, your vinyl onto your wood. You wanna make sure it's really stuck on there. Okay, then you're gonna pull your transfer tape, which is the clear grid, and you're gonna pull it off very slowly because you want to make sure that your vinyl is sticking. And if it's not sticking, you want to take your scraper and make sure to go back over it again. We're mainly looking for where your design is, so where the edges of the popsicle are. Now, you want to make sure that you save your transfer tape because we're going to need it for a later step. So what I like to do is stick it back onto what it came on. Make sure you stick it on the blue side, not the white side. Okay, so once that's stuck on, then we'll slip that over to the side. And your sign should look like this. Okay, so then we are going to take the polyacrylic, which is your clear one. You're going to take one of your brushes and we'll get it nice and wet in there. And then you're just gonna paint your design just where the popsicles are for this one. And you wanna get enough on there. You don't need a really thick coat, just enough so that you can see it. And it's okay if you get it on the outer vinyl. And if you're worried about getting it on your wood, you can put some painter's tape around the edge too, to protect it. We'll just keep going. The more you put on there, the longer it will take to dry, and it doesn't need a lot. Okay, then we're gonna let this dry for about 5 minutes and we'll come back and check on it. Welcome back, everybody. You do not wanna let this sit for more than 10 minutes. If your polyacrylic is still pretty wet on your wood, you can take your finger and kind of rub it and it will help it dry a little bit faster. That's my little trick. Okay, now it's okay if it's still wet on your vinyl. That won't matter. But what you wanna do is take your sandpaper and you want to sand your popsicles, especially close to your edges of your popsicles. So when you feel it, it should feel rough so that your paint will actually stick to it. The reason that we do the polyacrylic is so that it doesn't seep under. It will seal your edges a lot better. So I just want to make sure I got my polyacrylic enough. Alright, I'm going to switch this over. Make sure that it's nice and clean. Now, for this next part, I like to start with the tan. It is up to you what you would like to start with. If you'd like to start with the popsicles or the sticks. You can take painter's tape and tape off your popsicles. So do like this. And then you would let this dry and then peel it off and then put it over your sticks. I personally just like to paint it just slowly and do it without. I found that it's a lot easier for me, but it's totally your preference how you would like to do this. Okay, so I'm gonna get my tan out. And then I'm gonna take it and just go right up to the edge. You can kind of brush it off if you have a little extra excess. And I just go right up to the top. And brush it down. And you can start off with just a little bit of paint. You don't need a lot of paint for this step because you can always add another coat. So you don't have to have a lot on your brush for this step. If you get into your popsicle area, it's totally fine because we're gonna paint over it anyways. And we can fix it then. So what I like to do is either wave it back and forth to get it to dry a little bit so we can do the second layer, or you can start on your second color. So for this, I will start on my second color here so that I can show you what it looks like. So since I'm left-handed, this is gonna look a little backwards, but you can twist it around. And like I said before with the tan, less is more. And you're just gonna paint slowly. I like to start with my edges and work my way in. Now, it's okay if it gets a little bit on the brown because we'll be fixing it up. Just be careful of your edges into your other popsicle. Okay, you want a nice smooth look so you can go and down, up and down. Then I'm going to just set that on top of there. Go to my orange. You can start at the top and the bottom. And your vinyl may be a different color than mine. I just used orange for mine. Yours may be purple, yours may be black. That does not matter, just so you know. And we're just gonna paint this on. Nice thin layer because we're gonna do a second coat. So less is more with this. Do yellow, and then I'm gonna go back to my tan and check on that. See if we can get a second coat on that. One second, you just want to smooth it out, make sure that there's no really rough lines in there. We'll be going back over it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it towards me. Do my tan again. So for this coat, you just want to be a little more precise because it's going to be our last coat more than likely. You can usually get away with 2 coats on this. Sometimes you have to touch up a spot or 2, and that's totally fine. It just depends on how much paint you have on your brush at the time. And it's okay if we get it on the vinyl. That won't hurt anything. Okay, so that looks good. We might have to touch up a couple of spots here or there, but it won't be a real big issue. Okay, now I'm gonna do the green. And you can do yours in any order that you like. I just chose this color, or this pattern, but you are more than welcome to change up the colors in any different pattern that you would like. You just want 2 colors, you can do it that way too. Whatever you prefer is totally fine. It's a nice vibrant green, which is fun for summer. Your blue might need a little stirring. It was a little thicker. This is chalk paint that we're using, so it is water-based, so it will wash off your hands very easily. Your clothes, you might just want to wash it right away if you get any on your clothes, but your hands, it comes right off. Color purple, and then we'll just double check our tans and then go back over the other colors. the tan. I can notice just a couple of spots. You want it, I like mine nice and dark, nice and solid. So we'll touch up a couple of spots on there. Much better. Okay, now I'm gonna touch up my red. Okay, I have to let that one dry just a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is just shake it back and forth and let it air dry a little bit so that we can get the second coat on. It tends to grab better if it's drier, so you can just kind of shake it back and forth to get it to dry quicker. Okay, now that we've shaken it back and forth, it should be a little bit better. See, it's going on a lot more solid, which is good. Nice darker color there. That's the color we're trying to get. It'll just show up a lot better. The more you brush it, the more the paint is going to come off too. So just keep that in mind. The less strokes you're gonna do on it, the better. And you don't want your paint, excuse me, too thick, because then it will just look very thick on there. So you don't need a lot of paint for these. Just layers is better than thickness. Okay, so now what I like to do is, since this is very wet still, is just air dry it again. We want to peel off our vinyl when it is wet, but we don't want it so wet that it gets all over your hands and everything. So I just do a little bit of air drying just to help so that it won't be so messy to pull it off. So we're just gonna go over it real quick here. Okay. So as you can see, mine is still pretty shiny. It's very, very wet still, but we air dried it enough that if you want to walk away and not fan it, I would leave it maybe a minute or two, no more than 2 minutes. So now that it is done, we are going to take our vinyl. You can start at any corner. I'm just going to start at the bottom corners because of the extra vinyl. So with this step 2, it also helps if you have some scissors so you can cut it as you go, because you don't want this extra vinyl touching your other colors. Slower is better. The faster you rip this, the more chances you have of getting paint onto everything. So I'm going to, oops, pull that up, and then cut this one too. Cut this. There we go. And I want to set that off to the side. have it go slower than what I am. I'm only going faster just because I've done this a time or two. So with pulling it off, because I did it so fast, you get a bunch on your fingers. I did get some at the bottom. You can take your finger and rub it off, or you can take a wet Q-tip and rub it off that way too. Because when it's still wet like that, it comes off really easily. I did get a little purple on the side here, so I'm just gonna rub that off. Actually, let me just sand it off here. Okay, perfect. So, as you can see, this is what we have so far. It will take about a half hour to 45 minutes depending on how much paint that you put on there. At this time, if you're going to be hanging this in your doorway or anywhere outside that the elements might get to it, you're going to want to take a polyacrylic spray or some type of weatherproofing spray and spray your entire board in design. You want to do this so that it doesn't get wet and then the paint runs off. But we need to do this step before we do our next step. So if you would like to do this, then pause it here and go spray that on. All right, if you do not want to do that, or you have done that, then let's go to our next step. We are going to take our chaser tape off of our blue backing. You can trim this down for this next step, or you can just leave it big. So we're gonna fold it again over top of our design. And once again, let's get this over to the side. We're going to smooth it. We want all of our letters to stick. So do your front and back. Okay, once you feel like it's stuck on there enough, then you can flip it over and slowly start peeling it off. You'll notice that you want your letters to stick to your blue grid. If it's sticking to the blue again, the backing, then you just want to take your scraper and go over it one more time to make sure that they do stick down. So go nice and slow so that you can make sure that they're all stuck on there. Once that is done, you want to make sure that you have your board as straight as you can get it. And then you're going to line these up as straight as you can here. And we're just going to do a couple letters at a time. So I'm going to start with my E and my R. We're going to peel those up. And then they'll stick to your popsicles. Then we're gonna go to the M. And I'm just gonna do one at a time here, and you can line it up with your other letters to make sure that it's on there nice and straight. I'm just going to do the ends by themselves here, and the S and the U I'm going to do separate also. So I'm just going to go ahead and go over that one. And then we're going to go over our S. So then you'll end up with it looking like this. Super cute. And then we're going to do our hello. And once again, you can trim this down if you would like to. which I think I will for this one because it's our last step. So just put that over on the side. Once again, we're going to scrape front and back. Okay, so we have our hello stuck to our transfer tape. And we're going to center it over the summer the best that you can. If you don't stick it down very hard, then you can kind of play around with where you would like it. So if you just stick it just a little bit, then you can kind of eyeball it. I have to lean it over there just so I can see. Just a second. Okay, that's good. And then you'll want to scrape it across. And then you have your hello summer sign. Your next step would be to put the twine on, where you can hot glue it, wood glue, whatever you want to glue it. And then you have a completed sign. Thank you, and please post any pictures on my personal Facebook page, West Board and Brush, or post it on the library's page. Thank you and have a good day.